Good evening to those bored enough to watch. In a previous video, I discussed Streets of Rage and how I thought it massively improved upon what Golden Axe had been trying to accomplish. After its release in 1991, Streets of Rage would receive a sequel, titled Streets of Rage 2, which released in 1992 or 1993 depending on the region. Streets of Rage 2 seeks to foundationally improve upon everything the first game had done and expand upon its pre-existing depths, such as the combat, the stages, and much more. In this video, I want to briefly share everything I liked about the game, as well as a few issues I had with it, but ultimately I want to recommend this game to you as it's one that seeks to improve, expand, and build upon the first Streets of Rage game. So, with that said, let's discuss Streets of Rage 2. Streets of Rage 2 is a foundational improvement from the first game, something that's made clear from the moment you begin, starting with the general presentation. Streets of Rage 1 had a cutscene at the beginning of the game explaining the general premise through a picture with text scrolling on it, which while that was something I didn't really mind, I really like how this game seeks to improve upon that by including a more visually oriented cutscene. The premise for this game is that Mr. X, the boss of the crime syndicate fought in the previous game, is back with a vengeance and he's kidnapped Adam Hunter. So, Axel Stone, Blaze Fielding, Skate Hunter, and Max, two new playable characters, set on a mission to rescue their friend. I really like the text in this opening. It's captivating, yet somewhat cheesy enough to win my interest, and that's something that, while being cheesy may have been unintentional, I really appreciate about this game. Another thing I want to compliment is this game's improved sprite work compared to the first game. Everything was seemingly redone to accommodate more details in them, ranging from the stages, the enemies, and even the main characters. It was really something that was a joy to experience, and it only goes up from here. Much like the previous game, I mostly play as Axel Stone whenever I play this game, as once again I just didn't see the incentive to experience the game with the other characters. This game also seeks to improve upon the combat and stages themselves, as they're much more longer and have more depth to them. For example, each character now have their own special attacks, which I personally found really fun to use. They have drawbacks, for example with Axel's, doing so decreases his health after each use, which encouraged me to use them more wisely and strategically. You can thread them into combos during boss fights, which felt great to use. Speaking of boss fights, they're also something I think was heavily expanded upon as well, as each stage will have their own mini-boss that you'll need to fight through before making it to the actual one, which is something I feel as though adds a lot more challenge to the game, as there are more things you need to prepare for and think of ways to approach. Furthermore, the bosses also have their own unique gimmicks, such as the second boss fight, where you fight Jet, who soars around the stage and performs mostly aerial attacks, which encourages you to think of how to attack him and how to deal heavy amounts of damage with combos. One issue that I have with some of these stages is the backgrounds and how at times they impede the player's view in trying to align themselves with the enemies and their positions. For example, the Jet fight was one where I felt an unnecessary sense of difficulty. As if his aerial attacks weren't enough, trying to align yourself with him is very difficult, as the background for the stage makes it difficult for you to see your character's shadow. Stage 3 is also another example of this, more specifically the latter parts of the stage where the room is dark and filled with these grey lines, making it difficult to see where you are and where the enemies are, oftentimes leading to me missing attacks because my position was unaligned with the enemies. With that aside though, I didn't really have many issues with these stages and thought most of them were fun to play through. The music was also once again amazing, being done again by Yuzo Koshiro, who does a brilliant job with the music and making the stages feel all the more beautiful to experience. Overall, this game is one that foundationally improves upon the first in nearly every way. Everything from the sprite work, the combat, the stages, and the music were ones that were significantly expanded upon with this game, and it was genuinely great to play through. If you haven't already, I would highly recommend Streets of Rage 2. It's a foundational improvement to everything that came before it. So, there's the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I am currently working on a much bigger video than these smaller reviews I've been putting out, as I'm sure I've probably mentioned before. I just want to close any big gaps in uploads in the meantime. I hope you enjoyed this video nonetheless. If you want to view the list of games I want to make videos about in the future, then you can always do so through the link in the description. Additionally, if you want to follow me, then my socials will be linked in the description, as well as any afterthoughts or messages I may want to add. With that, I haven't really got much else I want to say. I'll see you all in my next video. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I wish you all a very pleasant evening.